Hey there, it's me. It's Shannon, Sheepless Needles, little vegan podcast, not about being vegan. And this is the vlog for the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along 2022 Twists and Turns. So thanks for joining me on this adventure. I hope you're having a good time with it. I am loving it. I will say that from the outset here. I'm enjoying this much more than I was. No, I can't say that. I'm not going to say that. Never mind. Just zip it, Shannon. You got time to lean, you got time to clean. Let's go. Okay, so I have lots to say. I have lots of comments, but I don't want to overload everything. So, Mr. Editor, if you could throw in the footage from during the week of me doing my things during the week, and then I'll be back to wrap up and get ready for our next step, our next clue. Okay, see you in a little bit. It is Saturday, you guys, Saturday night. Clue 2 came out on this past Thursday, but I did not start knitting until today on Clue 2. So this is my day 1, but technically, I guess, day 3, however you want to look at that. So let's take a look at my progress. Best bag ever. Yes, buddy, I know you want treats. Okay. First of all, so happy to see the contrast color. Can't even tell you. Second of all, it will be ruined for you. My choice. I'm letting you know my choice on color. Da, 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 da. Did I go red? Did I go green? What do you think? Red or green? Where's the top? Where's the bottom? Yike. Yikes. Ta-da! Oh, this way. I went green, you guys. Hang on, this is just... hard to show. There we go. I have started the fan, the rays, whatever it's called. I don't know if you can kind of get a better look when I do it like that. Let me just say this. I am so happy. I'm not doing cable cast-ons. I'm not having to pay really that close of attention. It's pretty straightforward knitting so far in this clue. So these 2 side panels, I'm feeling really good about. What comes after that, who knows? But I feel pretty good. I started knitting maybe around 2:30, 3 o'clock today. It's 10:30 now. Obviously, I haven't been knitting straight 8 hours, but I would say I probably knit 5 to 6 hours today. Would get up, knit a little bit, sit down, knit a little bit. So yeah, that is my progress. I am feeling pretty good about it. And I'll check in. I don't have much to say. That's just where I'm at. I need to go to bed. Yes. It is Sunday night. I am really exhausted. It has been a weekend. And I need to put myself to bed, but I wanted to check in and tell you where I was with Clue 2. I was hoping to be done with section 3 by tonight. I have so much cat hair and rabbit hair stuck to my chapstick. Gross. Anyway, that didn't quite work out the way I wanted to, and we're going to talk about that momentarily. But let me show you where I ended up. I did finish section 2. So, whoop, there's that. I did choose acid green, and I love it. And you already knew I chose acid green because I showed you where I was last night. So really, the only thing I really got done today was the final 2 of the, 2 repeats. That's all I had left. So I got that done. And then Steve and I had stuff we were doing during the day, and I just really wasn't knitting all that much. And he made vegetable mountain for dinner. And so after dinner, I sat down to knit and I was like, okay, I am smartly going to watch the beginning of section 3 because I know it's mirror image, but I just want to make sure that I pick up, like I wanted to make sure that I picked up the stitches on the I-cord edge correctly. And I was just worried that I wasn't going to, because I will say, oh yeah, there was one minor hiccup. When I picked up on this edge here, when I picked that up, I did one run of it and did a stitch count, and I must have missed like 2 stitches somehow. So I ended up, I think it was like 4 stitches short, which would be, or 2 stitches short. I don't know what it was. It was like I was short. I was like, I don't even know where I did that. And I looked and then I saw it. I was like, oh man, I don't want a hole on that, you know, join edge. So I went ahead and just pulled it and redid it and it went fine. So my only piece of advice is, for some reason I had a mantra when I was picking up those stitches where I would go, like you would start and it would be the beginning. Okay, we're gonna act like, okay. All right. So I would act like if you picked up here, I would go 1, 2, 3, and the 3rd stitch would be the first stitch of the next color. So I would tell myself in my head, 1, 2, 3, halfway, backward loop, and then I would pick up the second stitch in that, and I'd go 1, 2, 3, and then I knew I was starting at the beginning of the new color. Like I had to remind myself when I was doing 2 stitches of the same color plus 1 of the other. I don't know if that's going to make sense to anyone, because if I don't pay attention to that, I get sidetracked and I'll be like, did I pick? And I'll look, and I was just having trouble reading the back of my knitting at that point. This is when, you know what, sidebar note, this is when you know you need to put your knitting down. Because I'm not even making sense explaining it, which is exactly why I had to frog that one row out instead and do it again, because I should have just put it down. So never mind everything I just said. So anyway, I finished that. I love it, you guys. I really do. I love the color. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I want to get started and at least get like 1 short row wedge and 1 of the accent color wedges done before I go to bed, because I knew I wasn't going to get obviously in section 3 tonight, but I was like, I can get a wedge in there. And so I picked up my stitches and I was like, oh, let's just watch what he's doing in the video to make sure that, you know, on the mirror side, I'm picking it up correctly, right? So I watched the video and I'm like, oh, okay. Why are we sliding the stitches? Why am I doing 2 right sides? Why am I breaking my main color yarn? What is happening? So I follow the instructions and I'm like, I looked down, I was like, what have I done wrong? Like something wasn't right and I couldn't figure it out. And I looked down and I had 3 garter. I had 3 garter rows and I had not even started the short rows. I was like, well, that's definitely not right. And so I kept looking and I'm like, I can't figure out what I did. And then I looked down at I had the pattern out and then I had the video on. And I looked down at the paper. I was like, son of a bitch. I did the main color row, like the first one, and then I slid on the right side. And then I slid the stitches and did the right side again. And for some reason, I read that as being my first right side row. So I added another right side row and then turned to work the wrong side. So I ended up with an extra row. And I looked down, I was like, am I smoking crack? Like, what was I doing? Like, I can't even tell you why I did that, other than I was just zoned out, because I thought, like, as I was going through it, I was like, I've been just straight purling for too long. Like I should be working with a marker at this point. And so I looked at it, I was like, oh, screw this. So I just frogged it and recast it. I re-picked up and redid it. And I'm actually really glad that I did that because I had felt like when I was picking up the stitches on this edge, I just felt like I didn't do a real clean pickup. And I was like, I hope it looks okay in the end. And when I frogged it and then re-picked up, it looked much cleaner. So I feel much better about it. And, obviously I've just started the short row repeats for the first wedge. So my piece of advice on this would be, I originally thought when I started watching The Clue that sections 2 and section 3 were going to be a breeze. Section 2 was a breeze. Section 3 is counterintuitive to what I think it should be. And I can't tell you exactly why I feel that way, other than, is it just me? And it's probably just me, so don't at me in the comments, please. But why aren't we knitting? Why are we purling? Like, you get the same result if you're knitting, right? Why can't we just knit it? Why am I purling? Because my concern is he keeps talking about doing this mirror image, right? Which I'm down with. But it's not going to be a mirror image for me because I'm a loose my purl is much looser than my knit. My knit is tighter. So when I jury out, I'll show it to you tomorrow when I get some wedges done and we can compare left side to right side. But dudes, I already know it's going to be longer. Like, it's going to appear differently. Why the purling? Am I missing something? Am I a moron? Like, I feel like I'm stupid right now. And maybe it's because I'm really tired, but I really don't understand. Like, truly, if you're knitting, then you're just getting garter stitch. And if you're purling, you're just getting reverse stockinette, which is garter stitch. Am I wrong on that? I'm not wrong. Like, when I was knitting my Andrea Mowry disaster of a cardigan sweater, which now I don't even remember the name of it, the Comfort Fade cardi. And you go to do the sleeves, it's just like, hey, there's a cheat that people came up with where instead of purling your entire sleeve, just flip it and knit it because it's the same result. I don't understand. I feel like an idiot. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Where I hope your knitting is going well. I'm going to sleep on this and I will report back to you guys tomorrow. Let me show you your bunnies before we go. Sorry if I make anybody sick. Let's move the mic. Da 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 da. Oh, Harriet and Lebo. You guys. I just love, oh, you go get it, Harriet. You go. What are you doing over there? You're just sitting. See you guys. So you remember what it looked like before? I just knocked it out by knitting, and look at the friggin' difference. So note, I need to work on my purling tension. Second note, if you're knitting this or if you are doing the MKAL and you are a loose purler, I highly suggest you go to Ravelry, go to the MKAL forum. There is a forum topic without photos for they do clue 2 with photos, clue 2 no photos. So if you don't want a spoiler, go to the clue 2 no photos. And pinned into the forum is the alternate way of doing section 3 via knitting as opposed to purling. I 100% do not regret frogging and redoing it. So yeah. Good morning. It is Tuesday. I wanted to hop on and just talk about a couple things really quickly, and then get back to my actual day job, of which I am taking my coffee break for. I had to frog part of section 3 yesterday, and it wasn't a big deal. I am very happy I did it. But I definitely want to reiterate, if you are a loose purler, knit section 3, and there are instructions that you can find, and I'll see if I can put a link to the Ravelry group. But something came to mind yesterday. I was working out, and I'm a runner on hiatus, basically, because I'm having a little bit of an issue with one of my knees. But I work out and I cycle and I do other activities. And I was working out yesterday, and during the workout, it was a Peloton workout. The instructor was just talking about different things that are inspirational and how to handle obstacles and, the normal stuff that you get from a physical trainer. And they were talking about marathon racing and, how to pace yourself and how to hold your pace. And, one of the struggles that I've always had with running and in life, and I want to be really clear that I'm using running as an example. And if you're not a runner, it doesn't really matter, because I think this applies to a lot of areas in life, including knitting. But as a runner, I am constantly comparing myself to other runners in the pack. So if I'm at a race, it's a constant like, where's this pace group? Where am I at in relationship to this pace group? How are these people passing me? Just all of those thoughts that go through your head. And it's how those people are passing me and how many people are passing me. And in this session, the instructor brought up, people are always going to pass you, but you need to remember they're not running your race. And it just really hit me like, I'm competing with someone who's not competing with me, which just really cracked me up, because it's a mindset. Like, you need to let that go. And I say that in relationship to knitting because I've had several people comment, and I have probably been guilty of saying this, that I am behind in my knitting. Well, behind in comparison to what? What's the bar that you're behind? Like, are you behind other people? If so, they're not racing you. They're not running your race. They're not knitting your knit, right? Like, we've got to let go of that need to feel like we're the same or better or somehow excelling. Like, I think it's good to excel. I haven't had enough coffee to say this non-clumsily, but it's an interesting mental exercise when you think about how you approach projects and how you approach a run, how you approach, a mystery knit along, how you approach life. And yeah, I don't know. It just really resonated with me. So I wanted to share that with you. And then, you know, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I firmly believe that. So you got to change. I have to change my inner dialogue to stop saying I'm behind or why am I slower or whatever it is. So anyway, let me show you where I ended up last night. Okay, so this is my section 3 so far. Now, you guys, my footage yesterday got really squirrely because if I don't know what's going to make it in the final video, but my cat, Maggie, likes to type. So she likes to sit at my lap and paw the keyboard. And I did not realize she was hitting the space bar and stopping the camera and starting the camera. So my footage from yesterday, what I thought I recorded, I didn't record. And then I recorded stuff. I was like, I'm not even sitting at my desk. It's like really random. It's called the Maggie takeover of Sheepless Needles. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. But because there was footage of my purled section, which was like a disaster. It was so loose. I think it was 3/4 of an inch, like on the pie wedges. Literally, like if the normal pie wedge is like this wide at the bottom, it was like that. It was like literally, it was using so much yarn. So when I frogged it and reknit it, the amount of yarn that was saved was insane. So if you're worried about your yarn and you're a loose purler, do not purl section 3. Happy Tuesday. I will be back later. All right. I hope you enjoyed my week of knitting. I am glad that it is complete. My knuckles will be happy. So here she is. Here she is. The Angry Uterus bag. You guys, first of all, may we all take a collective moment. Thank you for no cable, well, for no excessively quantifiable cable cast-ons. Include two. For those of you who are just maybe starting this MKAL and maybe you're on Clue 1 and you're like, is this how the whole thing's going to be? Clue 2 is not that way. Clue 2, like if someone said, hey, Shannon, if you could reknit Clue 1 or Clue 2, or I don't even, I'd probably reknit both of them. I had much more fun knitting Clue 2 than I did Clue 1. Now, I love Clue 1, and I'm not saying I have a bad time knitting it. That's not what I mean by that. I'm just saying my knitting flowed a lot more easily on Clue 2. It just felt like it went quicker. So let's pull her out. Hang on. Hopefully you guys can hear me without shouting and you're not getting a big echo, but if you are, sorry about your luck. That's what happens here. Okay, so that was Clue 1, right? You guys, I don't know if I can show this to you properly. Look at that. You got your rays. I don't know if I can, I'm going to hit the mic. Hang on. You got your rays, and then you got your cables, which I'll zoom in on that in a second. That's your center section, right? I love it, you guys. I'm really enjoying this. Now, let's see if I can show you some cabling. So that's the cable section. Sorry, I know I'm not. Oh, wrong way. Stage exit left, Shannon. You'd never know your mom was in theater. Oh, she would kill me. Okay. So yeah, I am super stoked with this. I am really enjoying it. So let's talk about it. The biggest takeaway from Clue 2 from the get-go is going to be section 3, and that was the mirror image of the rays. That was this guy here, right? In the pattern and in his video clue, he talks about doing the mirror image. So obviously the opposite of a knit is a purl. So you would approach section 3 in the opposite manner that you approached section 2, which logistically sounds great. And watching him do it looks fabulous. And if you look at his tension on his purl versus his knit, you couldn't tell the difference. But, you know, he's been knitting forever and a lifetime, and I'm just not that, I'm not there yet. So the biggest takeaway is that I knit section 3. I think a lot of people probably did. A lovely couple people put up instructions on Ravelry. I'll have that in the show notes in case you need to hit it. I did have to frog section 3 3 times. Is that right? Once there, once there. Yeah. No, 2 times. And then on the 3rd time, I was good. I had to frog because I had just tension in shoes and just all sorts of shenanigans were going in. If you are going to do the alternate note for knitting on section 3, just really read through it before you start and understand that your main color on your wedge, you are going to feel like in the beginning of it, that you're going to be short a row, but you're not. So you're literally only going to do 3 rows of knitting, and your 4th row, you're going to pick up the short rows. And then when you get to the end of the wedge, you pick that row back up that you are missing because you're closing those short row gaps with your main color, not your accent color. So if that makes sense, you're golden. If it doesn't, well, either way, just read the notes in Ravelry. The people who did it did such a great job. And I'm tickled pink because you guys, my purling section was a friggin' disaster. And I know there was footage of it, so you already knew it. It was so loose, it looked like it was a different color than the other side. So, and now, like now I feel like it is a mirror image, and maybe it's not perfect, but that's fine with me. I'm good with that. The other thing I noticed, and maybe this is just a matter of practice, but like my accent color rows are pretty loose. I don't know if you can see that. And his were really tight in that video. I just don't know how he achieves that, or how you achieve that. I guess maybe practice makes perfect. So really, that was the big hiccup. And it wasn't really a hiccup. I mean, I'm happy with it in the end. And then on the cabling, I don't really think I had any hiccups. I did make a really weird stitch error somewhere, like not in the cable section, but like in the body. And I went back to correct it, and I thought I corrected it. And then I did a couple rows. I was like, oh, I really didn't correct that at all. So then, I pulled it and then let the ladder drop, and I tried to fix it again. And it looked pretty good. And then I was like, nope, it's still not good enough. And then I looked down, I was like, I am destroying this yarn if I try to monkey with this anymore. So I just left it. I don't think in the grand scheme of things, you're going to be able to see it. So I'm not really going to worry about it. But, the knitter in me is like, damn it. But that's okay. But the cabling was super easy. And halfway through it, I lost my cable needle. And, oh yeah, I did finally find it. It was on the floor. One of the cats had knocked it off the desk. And I couldn't find it. Kind of blended in with my carpet. So I found it this morning, which was a little too late to use it, really. So I was using... what are these things called? Loops, floxes. I was using one of these. And what it is, it's like a flexible chicha, right? Here's the deal. While I love this, I'm going to say this was a little hard to do cabling with. I probably should have just not used a needle at all and just held the stitches, because I've done that before. Because I constantly felt like, oh, I'm gonna break this, because I just felt like I was pulling, and it's like wood to, I don't know. So while I really like these are so lightweight, great for marking things, great, whatever, holding stitches, whatever. I don't know how I feel about them as a cable needle, but anyway, I just wanted to let you know about that. So I used that. What else oh, yarn, you guys, holy smokes. Each one of the cable sections used, I think, 40 grams of yarn. And then each one of the rays. Okay. Section 2 took 50 grams of my main color. Section 3 took 50 grams of my main color. And on the accent color, I used about 20 to 25 grams. This is what I have left. I really hope there's a lot more accent color in Clue 3, because I've used a hell of a lot of yarn on this. Now, keep in mind, this is a heavy fingering or a light sport. It is definitely not a light fingering, which is where I think my problem is coming in. It's not a problem. It's just where the adjustment's coming in. But I am flying through yarn like nobody's business. And thank God, Dot's Yarn Den, delivery, I think Thursday or Friday morning. And I was like, oh, phew. I haven't opened it yet, because the day it came, I got in the shower. I was like, it's probably a totally fucking different dye lot. We're just going to keep our fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. It's not the end of the world, but it is what it is. So anyway, that was my Clue 2, you guys. I really, really love the direction that it's going in. I really hope that we've got accent color down here somewhere, because I do feel like the row of contrast color, like the sections 4 and 5 of cabling, to me kind of are sticking out like a sore thumb, because it's just solid. So I don't know. How are you guys feeling? You tell me what you think. What were your hiccups on Clue 2? Are you through Clue 2? Are you about ready to throw your knitting across the room? Are you going to rage knit? What's happening? Lay it on me. Let's do this together. Now, I have not watched Clue 3 yet. And we are going down, we being my husband and my best friend and I, are going down to Cincinnati tonight to see Gogol Bordello, who, PSA, listen, if you guys have never seen Gogol Bordello, I don't care who you are, you will, it is one of the best shows to go to. So much fun. You will see old people there. You will see people with their kids there. You will see middle-aged ass people like me there. And I'm probably a little, whatever. So much fun. I just can't. Just Google, like, I don't know what song to tell you to listen to. Like, their most popular song is Start Wearing Purple. So I guess you could just check that out. But they have so many great songs and they have so many great albums. And yeah, anyway, it's a great show. So I'm going to try to watch The Clue before we leave. And then I'm going to try to start The Clue in the car. I don't know if that's a good plan or not. We'll find out. But, oh, what are you going to do if it's not? You know, I'll just frog it and start over. So anyway, on to Clue 3. I hope everyone is doing their little finger exercises. You know, do a little wave, do a little backwards bend, you know, you just gotta shake it out. Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see it. I also, first of all, I should probably say this before I sign off here. I saw some pictures of people's like Clue 1 and start of Clue 2. The colors, you guys. I love seeing the different palettes. I can't even tell you. It makes me smile. I just love it. So I'm super, super psyched for Clue 3, and I hope you are. And I guess I'll see you next week, and we'll see how I do. I usually fall off the train, Clue 3. That's usually where everything goes to hell in a handbasket. So fingers crossed, needles crossed. Bunnies in the monitor. Okay, anyway, I just totally got distracted. All right, I gotta go. Peace.